Welcome to the Marshall News and Views Show. I'm Elaine Conyers, and my guest today is Brad Gruhot, who is the director of the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce. So glad to have you back. There's so much going on that the chamber is involved in, and we so appreciate all the work that you do. If you'll just share with us what's been going on and what's coming in the future.
Absolutely, you're right. It really doesn't matter what time of the year it is for the chamber. It seems like it's always busy. We always have like 4 to 5 events every single month.
Yes.
This fall was no different. We kind of kicked off the fall with our Taste of Marshall event. Our Taste of Marshall happened on October 24th right here at the college.
Yes.
And at that particular event, we had about 150 people. It's a great way to showcase our restaurants. We had 18 restaurants there that evening, and giving samples away. It's kind of partnered with our annual meeting too.
Yes.
Annual meetings are always exciting, and ours is no different. Ours isn't, you kind of you have to have it because of your bylaws. But about 4 or 5 years back, we partnered with our Taste of Marshall, and in any city that has a taste of their city, it's always going to be a big event, right?
Yeah.
So we did the same thing. We now have the Taste of Marshall partnered with our annual meeting, 350 people, and it was a really fun night on the second floor of the conference center.
Yeah. And I think it's so great that you do have that annual meeting there, because that people are exposed into. Some people probably don't even know what the chamber is doing or involved in, and this is a good learning experience for them too.
That's right. That's right. Restaurants are too busy as members to come to our events. So if we can have an event that spotlights the restaurants and lets people sample what they have. For example, Four Seas Restaurant, they're still pretty new in the town. They were there that evening, and they had some of the longest lines because people wanted to know exactly what Four Seas is all about. Well, so, everybody knows that Four Seas Restaurant is in the old Pizza Hut, and, it was a good way to kind of showcase what they had.
That's right.
That evening,
Very
too.
good.
So.
Yep.
And of course, also at the event was Chartwells, and Chartwells is new here. They're the new service at the college, or SMSU has for their food services as well. So it's a good way for them to showcase exactly what they can offer as well.
I missed that one. I didn't see that even.
They're usually with the service, the food service here at the college. You're always in the first one on the right as you walk in. But yeah. It's always a fun event. It's one of the most popular events that we have every single year.
Exactly. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good. And of course, you've had a lot of other things going on too.
Yes. So our young professionals group, we have about 80 individuals that are part of our young professionals group now, which we get about 40 to 45 people every single time. And in November, we had Marty Seifert come. To kind of give a wrap on some of the national elections and kind of his thoughts. And I got people come up to me afterwards, and he says, I'm not really into politics, but he was really interesting. He kind of brought it down to a level, if somebody's not interested in politics, at least they were able to understand what he was talking about.
Sure.
I hate to use this word, but he kind of dumbed it down for some people. He made it really interesting. So Marty came in for our young professionals in mid-November. Shortly after that, on November 17th, we started back earlier in 2016 a nonprofit roundtable discussion.
Oh, okay.
So we had a couple of nonprofits that approached me. They said, Brad, we'd like to start visiting with each other so we're not stepping on each other's feet. We can plan events and not have the events on the same weekend. And how can we be resourceful for each other? So back in February or March, we started this roundtable discussion. We have about 50-some agencies here in town, or nonprofits. And we get about 25 to 30 that come to every single roundtable discussion. Way back in February or March, some of the initial discussions were how to, like I just said, make sure that they don't line up their fundraising event, their golf event, their silent auction event on the same day as each other. So it was a really good discussion. And I said right from the beginning, I said, this all can lead up to Give to the Max Day on November 17th. And if you're not familiar with Give to the Max Day, it got great publicity here in Marshall this year.
Yeah.
And Give to the Max Day is Minnesota's day that they're trying to get visibility for our nonprofits to donate that day. It's always the third Thursday of November.
Okay.
And when I used to work in the cities, it was just so huge in the cities to the point where their website crashed because they had so many people donate.
Okay.
So conveniently, an SMSU alumni named Andrea called up the United Way, Marcy at the United Way in August and said, hey, we want to kick off Give to the Max Day in Marshall, but it's going to be at midnight. So at midnight of November 16th, I suppose, into the November 17th, we had 60 people at the Red Baron Arena. We had 13 different nonprofits, and it was a great kickoff. And if nothing else, you know, our local media covered it, so it got good visibility.
Yes.
It got good visibility leading up to the event.
Yeah.
Both the Marshall Independent and the radio stations were at the event, so it got news coverage throughout the whole day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And last year, without all this visibility, Southwest Minnesota brought in $141,000 through Give to the Max Day.
Really?
And that's without much energy. Now that we actually had the energy put behind it, behind givemin.org, which is the organization that houses Give to the Max Day, we hope to get above 200,000 for some of our local nonprofits. So it was an exciting day. We capped it off by an after-hours event at the YMCA. Of course, YMCA is one of the larger nonprofits we have here in Marshall.
Yeah.
And we had it was just a good visibility event. We had 56 businesses there that day, including nonprofits, and they also had partnered with the health fair behind this Campus Community Connect event.
Okay.
And we had a really good turnout. Fortunately, it was the same time as the Tigers game up at US Bank Stadium, so it took up a little bit away from our event.
Yeah.
But you know, good for the Tigers to get as far as they did. But it was something that we could build on year after year. You know, all sorts of nonprofits, including the SMSU Foundation, the Pride in the Tiger, to Vera, were all involved. It was a really good partnership between all these nonprofits that just wanted the same thing to happen. That's for our nonprofits to prosper.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I heard about it. I didn't get out there myself, but that's a wonderful thing for the chamber to take over and promote too.
Right. We're a nonprofit ourselves,
Yeah.
but we're a different kind of nonprofit. We're not out there seeking donations. We have our businesses that support. You know, we are above 500 members for the chamber, which is always positive. But we were out there just kind of facilitating this whole event to make sure it ran successful, and I think it did.
Yeah. And just on a personal note, I know that since you came in to office here, the membership of the chamber has really increased.
It has. It has.
Because you're out there working, and the chamber itself has grown so much that it's more than one person can handle. Yeah.
Right. You know, when I worked in the cities, I worked at a couple of different chambers of commerce, and that was my job, is membership. So I came to Marshall knowing that, and I could see where the gaps were. I was able to scoop up some of the businesses that weren't members. It's not so easy anymore because there aren't very many to ask anymore.
Yeah.
We have to say that Marshall has 80% of the local businesses that are part of the chamber. That's huge.
That is. Yeah.
And we're one of the most highly saturated chambers in the state of Minnesota because most of the businesses that come on now are all new businesses.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, they know that to call the chamber, or I'll reach out to them to get on board with the chamber. You know, we have some new businesses downtown, including a coffee shop, and a new State Farm agent is in downtown now. So they're on board already. We have new chiropractor that's coming in town. So it's also exciting to see all the construction on East College Drive.
Oh yeah. Yes.
You know, we have the old liquor stores under construction. We have Western Mental Health Centers under construction. We have a new restaurant, Taco Bell, coming into town.
Yes.
So there's a lot of positive construction going on right now as well.
Yeah. And it just it keeps coming and coming. That's for sure. Just since we came into town, you know, that it's moved out so far to the east, you know, where the mental health facility is. That was a farm place, and that was the end of town.
Oh, it's crazy.
So anyway,
So other events, I always like to highlight our events. That's the number one reason somebody gets involved into a chamber. And so today is the 7th. So 2 days ago, Bremer Bank had their after hours appreciation
Yeah.
event, and they had probably about 200 people at this
Wow.
at it, and it's one of our bigger after hours events that we have. You know, Bremer is definitely a cornerstone business in this town.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, their clients not only coming from Marshall, but there was people coming from Slayton and all sorts just to
Oh,
come
sure.
into this appreciation event.
Sure,
And
yeah.
they had a nice spread of food, but that was a really good event as well. Of course, we have more events. We have a women's Women's Connect lunch that is tomorrow on the 8th. And Cal Brink is going to be the Q&A person. So,
Oh.
you know, being in economic development, people are always excited to hear about what's coming, what's happening. People always want to know. Sometimes the chamber, we get all sorts of phone calls about rumors in town, and we do our
sure.
best to answer. Not all
Yeah.
times we answer because
Yeah.
some things are kind of kept on the low until more things are ironed out. But he is going to be the speaker for Women's Connect this month. I brought an event with me from Bloomington called Let's Connect, Elaine. And Let's Connect, everybody in the room gets an opportunity to stand and do their 30-second to one minute commercial to talk about their business.
Oh, yeah.
And who doesn't like to talk about their business, especially
Yeah,
if you're trying to
gotcha.
grow like a client base or
Yeah.
trying to get more business. You can have your brochures there. You can have your business cards. There's a networking portion, but bottom line, you get to stand and talk about your business, which is really important to try to grow visibility. So
Sure.
that's on December 15th over at the American. The American always does a nice job of hosting that. That same day on December 15th, there's a event here at the college called Grow Our Own Summit. And it is being put on by the Swift Foundation, which is based out of Hutchinson, but Marshall is part of their area.
Oh, okay.
And what they're going to be talking about is the skills gap. And the skills gap, basically, you hear about high school students and how we're trying to educate, the business community are trying to educate parents that it's okay to send their children to a 2-year college. Mm-hmm. In some cases, a 2-year college, you're out of school in 2 years, you're starting your job, and you're going to have half the loans.
Yeah.
And you might be able to make a lot more money.
Yeah.
Just at a 2-year college. So that's one of the main pieces. It's a 7.5-hour event, and that's kind of the gist of the event, is trying to bring in. MAFAC is a perfect example of what is going on here locally, and bringing some of those students that really don't want to go to a 4-year college, but what are some of those skills that we can teach them at MAFAC, and how can they be successful at a 2-year college stemming from that?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's what this is going to be all about, and there's going to be some educators, there's going to be a lot of business folks here to kind of learn that. But the people that, it's the parents. You know, I have an 11-year-old and 8-year-old, and of course I want the best for them. And what is the best? This is going to be a 2-year college, a 4-year college,
Right,
or whatever
yeah.
the case is. So.
And I think it's so good that idea or concept is coming back, because years ago that was the main place where students would go, where it was a 2-year college, because, well, partly because of the price, but they were more interested in doing hands-on type of thing, and to see that come back and be more popular for kids, I think is tremendous, because not every kid is really good at going to a 4-year college, you know, and study philosophy or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then what do you do with that? I back when I was in college, we had several people that graduated, but when they were from college, they had nothing that they could do. They didn't take any education courses, so they could teach or anything like that. So I think that is really, really good. Mm-hmm. So I'm just glad to see that that's being promoted.
Right. The chamber anywhere, including the State Chamber of Commerce, the Minnesota State Chamber of Commerce, it works on workforce development, and this is a really good example of some of the things that we're working on.
Yeah.
We're just being invited. You know, this is something that the Swift Foundation is putting on, and it's definitely a good thing and it should be a pretty full
I bet. Yeah.
house. So because it's not just people from Marshall that are going to be there. It's going to be Lyon County and
Right.
their whole region, which is pretty much south central and mid. Right around the Hutchinson area, so they have quite a region to pull from.
Yeah. And I think too, I'm just going to add this, that with our new immigrants too, many of them they really they didn't even finish high school probably, and they didn't care about going to high school, but I would tell them I would take kids at the museum because. To help out, and then I'd encourage them to first graduate from high school, and when I managed to get that to happen, then I said, now you can go to college, and they said, no, that's not work. Okay, what is work? Lifting heavy things.
Right.
Now that's just a very different concept in a sense, but that's the way they thought, and there was no way they were going to go out here to the college. They would rather go to a 2-year, and even like the law enforcement schools, like we've got in Alexandria, and I don't know where all. Those two are good for those young people to go into. Glad to see it's more popular.
Absolutely, yeah, it's important. It's important to educate, especially the parents.
Yes,
for sure.
That's right.
And then a few other events that we have coming up. We have another Young Professionals Luncheon, and our YP group likes to do a yearly volunteer event. So on December 20th, we have the United Way coming over to the library to do. I forget what the experience is, but it may be like filling backpacks for the kids in the area or whatever the kids is. So last year was a hit with our young professionals. We're going to do the United Way again, and we'll keep them busy for about 30 to 40 minutes of doing some volunteer experience. And after December 20th, of course, the Christmas hits and New Year's hits, and then we're done until mid-January.
Till mid-January.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get a little rest in there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Thankfully for myself, well, I shouldn't say thankfully. Christmas is always a fun time. My wife's side has already taken care of Christmas and Thanksgiving all at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So it won't be as much traveling as it usually is for the Gruhots here.
Yeah. And that's good because I'm hearing more families doing that. In fact, my daughter they're coming to Marshall to be with her in-laws and celebrate Christmas on Saturday. And that's pretty early. But like they said, well, in order to get to each family, you have to change the date.
Yeah, that's right.
And have Christmas more than one time.
That's right. That's right.
And so I'm learning from that too.
Right. So speaking of mid-January, we at the chamber office now, we're working on our directories, our community guides for the new year. The community guides really showcases Marshall. It talks about who the major employers are, and what our faith community is all about. And it really gives somebody that's new to town a really good glance on what a good snapshot of what Marshall is. And we have all of our businesses are spotlighted in there by industry, about where their address is. It's a really well done directory. It gets sent out with all the Marshall Independent newspapers, so about 5,500 or so gets sent through the mail, and plus we have them all at our hotels and other businesses throughout the area.
Yeah,
it's a good way to kind of display our members.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yep. So that's coming up in the new year.
Right? Yeah, that'll come out after the new year. Then one of the most popular things that we do every single year, especially it's grown every single year. So right now we work on the community guide, and then as soon as that gets sent out, we start working on our coupon book.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Our coupon book it's not your typical coupon book you get in the Saturday mail. It is a really well done coupon book where businesses can put up to 4 coupons in this particular book, and $5 off of 25, $10 off of 25, 25 off 100, and buy one, get ones. And we printed out 1,000 books in 2016. Coincidentally, about 2 weeks before Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, we sold our last one.
It did.
So we're gonna go.
Yes.
We're gonna go a little bit bigger this year. I think we
Okay.
can print out some more. You know, one of the groups that really can benefit from these coupon books, not only do our businesses, because you get the walk-in traffic, you get
Yes.
automatic walk-in traffic from these coupons. It's $25 a book. But speaking of nonprofits, I was talking about the nonprofits earlier. A nonprofit can get a stack of books from us. They can sell them on their own, then it's actually sold as a fundraiser. $25 book, they get to keep $5 for every single book, and $20 goes back to the chamber.
Wow, great
So
deal.
it
Yes.
is for your small swim club teams or your hockey groups or whatever. Even the
Yeah.
YMCA does it. And not only can they do it, but the for-profit does too. Soulmates does a really good job in downtown. They have
Okay.
them right there at their checkout counter. There's probably a coupon they can use right at the counter
Okay.
that will pay for the book itself.
Wow,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. So our coupon books, it's last year I think they're out on March 1st, but I'm hoping that we can get it out just a little bit earlier.
Better
this
earlier
year.
than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Great, yeah. There, and one nice thing too about those coupon books, as you were saying, well, it's different than the flow of advertising that comes in the newspaper and so on.
Right.
And it's a good, nice size. It can fit in your purse or your back pocket and take it with you. Where it's otherwise you're going through trying to find coupons in the paper, which is fine.
Right.
But this is real handy.
Right. Right.
So it's a good job there too.
So, what else? You had mentioned earlier about the growth of our chamber, and I'm going to touch on that just
Sure.
another, because we've been kind of holding steady at the 515. Well, to kind of give you kind of, relatively speaking, when I used to work at Bloomington, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but that's where I worked. We had 355 out of 4,000 businesses in Marshall. So for Marshall to
Yes.
to have 515 members out of
Yes.
like 600,
Yeah.
that's really
It
strong
really
strong
is.
business
Yes.
support. And
That is.
and I can now that I've been here for 2.5 years, there's a lot of involvement. I'm going through thank you letters right now that we send out to all of our businesses after they renew, and I have probably met about 80% of our businesses.
Sure.
And, there's always going to be some businesses that will renew. And they say, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. You're not ever going to see me, but keep doing what you're doing. Because I know you're doing good things. I know you're doing good things at the council. I know you guys are doing some things that are going to help out our business, big picture.
Yeah.
But I'm not comfortable with networking. I'm not going to come to your after hours event. That's just not my thing. Just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll be happy.
Great.
So.
Well, and then another thing that has been in play the last, I don't know if it's a year or 2 years, is changing the title from Marshall Chamber to Marshall Area Chamber, because now I understand there's there's certainly some businesses coming from our surrounding towns, and aren't even some towns themselves joining the chamber. Am I right about that?
Yeah,
or-
that's a good question. We have about 80 businesses that don't have the 56258 zip code.
That's okay.
We just recently brought on. There's a new dance facility down in the Linwood Ballroom.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Lind. There's a few businesses in Lind. Of course, DG Excavating is part of that, but also. The city of Tracy, the city of Ghent are members of the chamber. The city of Balaton, the Balaton Chamber of Commerce is a member of our chamber. And what do they get to do? They get to, they just had a big holiday event. Was it this past Saturday? I don't remember what it was, but they get to send their flyer, put it in our email communication. And the same thing with their summer days, Balaton's days, I forget what it's called. But that's what the city of Ghent can send over their Belgian American Days flyer, and we get to put that in our information. So, there's a lot of different good reasons. Plus, the overarching organization of the chamber is Discover Southwest Minnesota Partnership. Then that's what Cal is the executive
Yeah.
director of. So that oversees the chamber, the CVB, and Economic Development
Right.
Authority. So it's overarching. So it's not just Marshall that's part of this partnership. It is the Ghent, the Minneota, the Cottonwood, the Tracy, and so on. So it is. It's pretty much Lyon County is our footprint.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that I've been in town for a lot of years, and over those years way back, there was a jealousy of the small towns. Had a jealousy of, well, Marshall gets everything, they do everything. Well, Marshall really worked at it too. Anyway, so there was always kind of a conflict there. Now we're working together, and they were supporting everybody, and I think that is just so tremendous that we can have that kind of partnership. And I get told a lot by people, oh, you're always bragging about Marshall. And you know what? Marshall doesn't even have a lake. And I said, wait a minute. We're Marshall area now. We got one at Cottonwood. We got it at Chautauqua.
Right.
We share our things.
That's right. Marshall doubles in size Monday through Friday.
Oh, yes.
Because of the commute.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was just at a luncheon today, and the one lady mentioned that she has a 40-minute commute into Marshall, and I asked where, and she comes from Echo every single day.
Sure.
And she said, because the reason she brought it up, because she was just kind of thinking how that's her alone time. That's where she can do some thinking.
Oh, sure.
So she, having 40 minutes to do that gives you a lot of thinking. And like I said, so we're a city of like 14.5 or something like that. And we get to, 26,000 every single day, Monday through Friday. And this, of course, this time of the year with the shopping that goes on, it isn't much different on Saturday and Sundays because people are coming in like crazy to, the Walmarts of the world and the Menards and everybody else that they want to get their shopping done at. And of course, downtown, really thrives at this time of the year.
Yes.
With all the options they have for local shopping. Of course, we're always going to promote buy local and our downtown facilities and the rest of our local shops here in Marshall too.
Yeah. So it's really growing. Our community is, I mentioned this a lot, is the regional hub of Southwest Minnesota, and it has been for many years. But Marshall can, you just can't sit back and say, well, we're the regional center and that's it. We don't have to do anything more. But we have to keep working, and that's why Marshall, and especially the Chamber, has helped the community grow, because we keep working on this to bring people and businesses into town, and that's what's so important.
That's right.
Well, this has been very interesting, and I certainly appreciate your coming and sharing this information with us. And we certainly will have you back again.
Good.
And thank you so much for all your work.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure being here, and everybody have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes, thank you, and same to you.